Identical twins of Reddit who own a pet after living separately. What was your pet's reaction when it saw two owners? My mom is an identical twin. My childhood cat Linus was a total scaredy cat. Abused at an early age and terrified of new people. But an absolute sweetheart with us. When my aunt came to visit for the first time, Linus walked right up to her and snuggled against her leg. She started scratching him and all was going great until he saw my mom. Cue very quick back and forth head turns. Followed by running up the stairs and hiding for hours. Poor baby. We never had pets growing up. So my twin was pretty nervous. My wife's 9lb Pomeranian could smell his fear and preyed on it. My dad and his brother were identical and same voice. 2. My dad rescued a nest of bird babies whose mama never came back and he would feed them. He would go outside and say, "Where are my babies?" And their little heads would pop up, chirping and chattering, and he would feed them. Had a vet friend who told him how and what to feed them. One day his brother came over and my dad told him to go out and say, "Where are my babies?" And the birds stayed silent. Not a peep. He tried again to no avail. My dad said it and instantly the babies popped up and chirping. They couldn't see him. And his voice was identical yet they just knew. It was uncanny. Edit. My uncle passed away a year ago, so that's where the "were identical" came from. Sorry for the confusion. Also clarified they were baby birds earlier in the post. Forgot people still haven't mastered reading my mind. Long time ago my grandfather had a dog that went with him to work the fields on his farm. He passed away and dog stayed with my father and his mother. Father's brother came up the driveway one day to visit. Walking and looking like my paw. The dog went crazy in the house. She was barking and going from window to window. They finally let her out as he was walking up the steps to the porch. She ran up to him all excited until she saw it wasn't her master. It was like someone had kicked her. The tail went under and she slowly walked over to her bed and laid down in her sadness. My cat couldn't give a. Her new puppy thought I was her until she walked in the room and then decided to bark and growl at me. He has only met me a few times and still gets us confused. On a separate note, after college my twin's older dog lived with my parents at the same time I did. I can't remember why my parents had him for that period of time. I call him my Nif dog because I love him so much and we even FaceTime. He goes absolutely apeshit when I visit and it's the best welcome back ever. I have an identical twin. My sister decided to try and surprise me by coming to visit from out of state. She had a key. And my dog growled and barked at her and wouldn't let her in while I was in the shower. Lol, he didn't care if she looked and sounded like me. She wasn't coming in unless I let her. Edit. I get it guys. It's the smell lol. My grandfather had a younger brother whose voice sounded indistinguishable from his own. To all us humans anyway. They were not twin-like in appearance nor scent. One assumes. One day our big studly master of his domain German Shepherd catches Uncle Reggie on the front porch and starts going at him and Uncle Reggie says, "Oh Scout, now stop that." And Scout did the full cartoon stop. Head sideways. And that whimper that sounds like a question mark. So his appearance wasn't mistaken by the dog at all. But he did confuse the hell out of him with the identical voice. My lard cat didn't give a. We lived together but my cat doesn't particularly like him. I can manhandle that Fluffy and rub his stomach all I want. As for my twin, I think my dog is too dumb to realize we are twins and just comes to whoever calls her name because she thinks there is food involved. My rabbit will go to my twin sister if she calls him from the other room. We have the same voice. But once he arrives and sees it's her and not me, he stops short because he was expecting mom pets. He'll eventually let her pet him. It's the betrayal when she imitates my voice, intonation and all. That makes him a little huffy at first. Identical twin here. It's weird because my dog loves me but hates my sister. Like, when she comes around he growls at her and barely lets her touch him. I have no idea why. He isn't like this to the rest of my family or friends. Maybe he thinks she is an imposter? LMAO, we have no idea. Not pet related, but my grandma is an identical twin, and the first time I met her sister my little 3-year-old brain didn't really think it was weird, so I just called her more Nana. My family thought it was so funny that we all call her more Nana to this day. When I first saw my twins' pet I was shocked. We hadn't talked to each other in about 3 years and we both got a black toy cavoodle. It was literally like he had mirrored my dog. Still don't know whether he did it on purpose. My dad's brother looks almost exactly like him. So similar that even the cousins get them confused sometimes when we're all together. My uncle came to visit once and came in the house while my dad was still outside helping with the bags. My golden doodle went bounding up to him, my dad is her favorite person, and barked a greeting. My uncle replied, "Oh. And who is this?" They have totally different voices, octaves apart. My dog panicked, froze, hair went up, crouched way down, and she turned to look at me like something is wrong with dad. Then my dad walked in. My dog realized that dad was still here, and realized that this is a fun new person just like him. She happily went to investigate and say hi. My doodle now loves my uncle. But that first moment really freaked her out. My dog loves my identical twin sister. Soon as she talks she's all over her. I think it's because we sound alike, but she knows we are not the same. None of our pets have ever confused us for one another. Can't say the same for friends, family, boyfriends. Not really the same situation, but I think it's really all about smelling. Possibly. Mannerisms. My twin sister and I have a pet cat together and, despite being blind, he favors my company. He doesn't know we look the same. He just knows what I smell like and how I act, so. In a scenario in which he could see and only knew one of us, I think he would still run away if he had never met the other twin. Not a twin. The first dog my husband and I had was very much my husband's dog. Worshipped the ground he walked on. One day while my husband was going on a walk with him, the dog saw someone that looked just like me from the back. Even my husband was confused. The dog ran up to her happy as can be. And then she turned around. He growled at her. He barked at her while walking backwards. He was usually a very mellow dog. When they returned to our apartment, the dog sniffed me for a moment and proceeded to snuggle me for the rest of the night. Guess he couldn't handle the betrayal. Mythbusters does a segment where the guys wear masks of each other's heads and it confuses hell out of the dog. My Yorkie had no idea I had a twin until my wife surprised me by purchasing an ticket for him to visit for our birthday. He walked in surprising me and she lost her mind and ran up to him excited, thinking it was me. The kitchen was adjacent to the front door and I was standing in it. As she got to the door she stopped and noticed us both and got even more excited, running back and forth between the two of us. My dog couldn't tell Asians apart, I guess, and followed the wrong Asian lady at the dog park. My sister's dog was confused for a second because we sound alike. But then he realized I wasn't her but similar. So he also adores me. Sometimes when I'm visiting and he gets in trouble with her, he comes to find me and climbs in my lap. He only weighs 100 pounds. Not a twin. But once while walking about I caught up to a guy and his dog. And when we were within visible distance, the dog kept turning around and staring every 5 to 10 seconds. Eventually I caught up to them, and the owner explained I looked an awful lot like a close friend of his. After the sniff check though, the dog quickly lost interest. Most pets can recognize you by sight, but they verify it's you by smell. They smell way better than us. I mean, they can. My so has a twin, but our cats don't care about anyone. My sisters are identical twins. Literally the only way to tell them apart is which side their hair parts on and their glasses. Our family cat absolutely adores the younger twin and despises the other. This question reminds me of this GIF where the owner dresses up as his dog's favorite toy and the dog gets super happy when he sees him. I wonder what was going through that dog's mind at the time. I have an identical twin and our beagle always follows my twin around. I could be chilling with our beagle on the couch and then boom, he hops up because my twin just walked in the door. Lol. Guess he has favorites, but it also makes sense because he's been with my twin since he was very little. Rusty was a good boy and was ecstatic there were 2 of us. More to play with, I guess. He learned to tell us apart though, and I kind of felt like an indulgent uncle with him. It's even more fun as my brother and I have had children in our own families and they can't tell us apart until they are almost 2. My partner is an identical twin. Our dog hates his twin and won't let him in the house, and our cat loves him. My dad and my uncle were identical twins. Their voices sound so similar even my mom would get confused before the invention of caller ID. My dad passed away last year, and when my uncle came over the family beagle didn't notice. But when my uncle spoke he perked up. But then he would go and sniff him and get sad again. My twin and I have lived separately and together several times. My dog treated my sister and me like 2 separate members of the same family. But both our cats, one is mine, one is hers, have made it clear from the beginning the other twin is a second-class citizen. We have exactly the same voice, so when we visit each other there's about 1 minute of "why are there 2 of you?" and then it's business as usual. I'm an identical twin. My dogs had no issues distinguishing between me and my sister. They could tell by smell. The first oddly specific AskReddit I am qualified to answer. My dog lost his mind when my twin came to visit. He excitedly dashed back and forth between the 2 of us, thrilled to see us both. Then again, he's a golden retriever, so he does that with everyone. Edit. Typo.